Good Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to All Across Live and special happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and acting mothers out there. All of our best. Yes, here we are. Happy Mother's Day to one and all. Also, another little celebration before we get going here is last Monday, we hit the 1 year mark of doing this show. And this is show number 53. Welcome to the new year. So, happy first anniversary to all across. There we are. It's been a great ride so far, and it's only going to get better. With me, of course, as I do have weekly, I've got Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. How's it going, Shawn?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
And I have Muffler Mike Kostiuk over in Connecticut. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well. Question is, how are you doing?
It's been a rough weekend. You know, I felt as though I took a couple of shots over in these last couple of games, and it's been dealing with I thought I was in a bandit's home game both games because they travel well and they do make a lot of noise. They're like good squeeze toys. You know, they just keep going. What's he got? Off we went, and, we had our hooked on phonics. We spelled box a bunch of times and, we counted numbers and we had trouble near the end there because they got kind of high, but, we made it. We made it. Just kidding, all you Buffalo fans out there. I love you guys. And I absolutely love the environment. So it was great. It was electric in there. So, and of course, Buffalo came to play and Toronto didn't. And there really is nothing more to say about that. As the score has proved, Buffalo had a great strategy. Toronto couldn't figure out how to get around that great strategy. And, if something doesn't work, you do it 2,500 times. And eventually it'll continue not to work. And we are case and study if you want to watch either of those two games. That's exactly what happened. Anyways, we'll get into that in a little bit. First of all, I just want to do a couple of network things, just while it's clear on my mind. Remember that all the shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. And you can catch all the action on EOPsports.com. Remember to subscribe, follow, and like, and always share around. Enjoy all of our affiliates, too. You got the Broad Street Bully Podcast, Philly Press Box Radio, Edge of Philly Sports Live, Bird's Eye Q, Patterson Avenue Fanatics, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B, Devereaux Sports, Painted Lions, and The Party on Broad. If you missed a show, no worries, you can grab all the podcasts on all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, or Spotify. And you can catch it also on the EOP YouTube page at EOP Sports. And if you're looking for our show, you can catch it on our YouTube page at All Across All the Time. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. And while you're there, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you're looking for a place to wet your whistle, Dolan's is your place to go. Over at 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park. Great times, music, memorabilia. If you want to have a look at it before you head there, dolansbar.com. But seeing is believing. You want to get your butt out there and have a beer with the boys. Sherry'sTickets.com. Sherry's Ticket Town is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need more of a personal touch, give them a call, 610-494-5050, or visit their office at 1382 Normans Creek Road, Suite 1, Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest. Save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com and save 10% more by using the promo code EOP10. PhillySportsTrips.com. Now, all the ones that we had been showing have come and gone, but there is a whole list of others on their site. So have a gander on over to PhillySportsTrips.com. You're not going to get better pricing for trips in and around to watch the Phillies or to watch the Eagles coming up in a couple of months or the Philadelphia Union. So give them a try. Go over to PhillySportsTrips.com. If you have any legal issues, David R. Cherry Esquire and his firm, the Cherry Firm, are more than happy to try and work your way out of it. workers' comp claims, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, David R. Cherry and his firm will be happy to help. Go to www.cherryinjurylaw.com or give them a call at 610-565-0300 and tell them the boys from Edge of Philly sent you. And away we go, guys. Pilsner time. These were crying beers. They're sad, sad beers today. So we're going back to the happy beers. That's all I got to say about that, right. Eduardo is with us. Eduardo, good evening, guys. Come Jackson. Still alive, but he's got COVID. So he was going to make a trip up to watch some of these shellackings, and probably you're feeling better than some of us up here. Happy anniversary. Thank you very much, Eduardo. You've been a big part of this too, so we really appreciate all the effort and all the work you've done for us and with us. And we look forward to doing a whole lot more with you in the upcoming near future. Just a couple of little things here. Just a reminder that upcoming, if you are in the Ontario area, is the Rob McDougall Celebrity Lacrosse game, July 8th at the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. It's an entire day of lacrosse, and it culminates with that lacrosse game at 7 p.m. A few extra things on there is a silent auction, Camry's Brewery beer garden, food 50-50, live music, only $10 to enter, and if you're 12 and under, you get in for free. Remember, all proceeds will be donated to Kids Sport Ontario. Hashtag so all kids can play. Definitely worth your time, definitely worth your money. It is an interesting and a fun day for everybody. And Rob McDougall was a big part of lacrosse in Ontario, and it's great to see us keeping his memory alive. Also, a couple of weeks after that is the Fan Cup. You can watch yours truly and a number of other fine people stumbling around because our motto in there is win or lose, we drink the booze. So you can see what kind of fun we'll have. But there's lots of stuff going to be there for auctioning, and all the extra money goes to all the charities, 3 charities in there. I know of Smile Zone, and I know one of the Haudenosaunee ones in there. I still have to look up what the third one is, but it is a worthwhile cause, and it's a fun day had by everybody. Usually 8 teams in there, and a full day of lacrosse followed by a banquet. So it is a lot of fun. If you want to get in there to play, contact somebody with Fan Cup. You can go to their Facebook Fan Cup page and have a look and check in with them. Well, a couple of bits of news. We talked about Rod Jensen leaving the Thunder in Langley, and it didn't take long for them to find, I say, a pretty good replacement. Kurt Milosky is now going to be the head coach for the Langley Thunder. So look out. Look out. It's going to be a quick transition for him since he's still in NLL playoffs. A couple of other little things here. At the end of the season, Brett Mitski, he is the all-time NLL leader in caused turnovers with 207. Pretty amazing. He just passed Brad Cree, who had 206. Here's another fun fact about Dylan Ward. This was just after the Seals game. In that game, he made 52 saves against the Seals. That was his second 50-plus save game in his NLL postseason. But the last one was in Game 3 of the 2022 NLL Finals, which they beat Buffalo for the championship, which means that Ward had now had back-to-back 50-plus save games in the postseason. Tell me he's not a big game goalie.
Yeah.
Another big game goalie, and I witnessed that firsthand, of course, again and again and again. Matt Vince was the first player with 40 playoff game appearances, now 41 playoff game appearances. Pretty amazing stuff. He plays like he's a 25-year-old. But the Buffalo defense and the scheme there has a lot to do with that, and we'll get into that also when we get into the games because it was stifling. And me included don't give them enough credit for how good they are at defense. We keep thinking about high flying and Josh Byrne and Dane Smith and Chris Kluche, and we can go on and on and on. But that defense is absolutely stifling, and it's next man up mentality in there. Of course, headed by Steve Priolo. But any one of the other ones doesn't make a difference. Justin Robinson, Justin Martin doesn't make a difference. Every one of them. steps up, gets in the way of shots, puts their body on the line time and time again. And it was ridiculous how few good shots made it through over the weekend. Pick'ems, guys. We didn't have a bad week. Damn Toronto. That cost each of us a game yesterday. Well, what more can we say about that, right? Why don't we start off with Thursday's game? And I would say a kind of a stunner, but you know what? I picked Colorado to win that game, and I think they're peaking at the right time, honestly.
Yeah, I had them to win too, and I think they're just riding the wave of momentum right now. I guess we'll go into Saturday's game as well. Maybe that momentum came a little bit, but I think this is just going to be a dragged out fight this entire series.
Yeah.
And it was what we expected too, a goaltending battle, right? One of those milestones, of course, too, was Dylan Ward hit 1,000 career playoff minutes in game one. But I mean, Del Bianco had 42 saves, Dylan Ward 36. And really, it came down to discipline in this one with Calgary. I mean, they were ahead 5-3 at the half, still had a 7-6 lead after the third quarter, but they took, what was it here, 5 straight penalties from about the 10:47 mark of the third quarter right into the fourth quarter. And I mean, when you're giving, I believe it was, 7 power plays to the Colorado Mammoth, they're going to make you pay. And they did with 4 power play goals, including 2 from Connor Robinson in the fourth quarter, including the game winner.
Yeah, the game tire and the game winner. And it was really, they took themselves entirely out of the game in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, it just came down to discipline. Plain simple. If you're going to give a great team like that many opportunities, they're going to take advantage of it, especially in the playoffs.
Right. And, Kristen Del Bianco again, 42 saves.
Yeah.
He's working magic, but there's only so much he can do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you need some help.
Do you think sometimes they're relying a little bit too much on the reflexes of Del Bianco, since he's saved them so many times, that sometimes they can get a little bit sloppy or careless, or get a little fancy free with their sticks to take that many penalties?
Yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah, it's hard to say this because this game was so close. It's hard to say, but
I mean, obviously, the one penalty was just outrageous and just never should have happened with Tanner Cook just throwing his stick at the Colorado player. I mean, I understand he was frustrated because he got double teamed. He felt there should have been a call on him, but I think that's worse.
It's one of those things, right? When you retaliate like something like that, it's usually the guy who retaliates that gets called. And it was not what Tanner Cook was thinking doing that. Was I'd like to know what was going through his head. Emotions obviously got the better of him.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, to me, that was definitely the most egregious penalty of the weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the one that definitely, I mean, as much as the 2 against Toronto there, the 2 5-minute majors that killed game 2 there were
blew it right out of the
highly
water.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, that one that's the first time I've ever seen someone throw a stick at someone else. So
yeah. And I mean, what are you gonna do if you're the ref? I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, your hands
to call it.
Yeah,
you have to call.
You got to make that call. So.
Mm-hmm. And well, as we go, we might as well talk about game 2 while we're in there, and a little bit different, shall we say, a vibe in Calgary. We're used to seeing 12 or 13,000. We had just over 7,000 there, so that loud environment wasn't the factor, but getting Tyler Pace back in the lineup turned out to be a big thing. Just before we get into that game, I put together a little highlight package of goals from both sides, just to show you just the kind of ferocity that we were talking about in this game.
King. Inside, Tyler Pace! Right off the bench, right down the pipe. Watched there by Chasser, backhand flip to Pace. Waters comes over to set a screen. Pace through a screen, scores! Give him a hat trick! 7 points in his return. Plays 1-2 with Tyler Pace. Here comes the drag. Seal, Pace, shot, score! Pace relays a message from the bench to King. Cook, shot, scores! Sometimes you just got to take matters into your own hands. One, Courier, save Ward, loose ball, Cook, scores! Right out of the box. Cook, power move inside, backhander, score! Here's Robinson around the top, shot, score! Short side, Keys! Connor Robinson! Lee sets a heavy pick on Wild. Robinson driving. Robinson scores! And Lee has some extra words for Mitch Wild. Robinson. Williams back to Robinson. 10 on the shot clock. Robinson drives down the side. Short side, scores!
Well, one thing I can say for sure is there were no cheapies in this game.
No.
Those were all hard-earned goals.
Yeah.
But big thing, Tyler Pace back in the game, 7 points, right?
Yeah. I think definitely the difference in a 13-12 Calgary victory. So the series is tied at 1 now, and Game 3 will be next Saturday in the Saddle Dome,
which gives Buffalo a lot of time to heal, because they took a couple of guys that are hobbling around today with some wonky knees and a few other things. But wow,
yeah.
Wow, that's all I got for it. Wow.
And definitely. Oh, sorry, I was going to say definitely more balanced attack by Calgary. I mean, they had 7 players each with at least 2 points in the game. So obviously led by Pace with 3 and 4, and Tanner Cook had 3 and 1 and did not throw his stick last night. So so that's definitely an improvement. Jesse King 2 and 6. So, and then Zach Kerr, who knew throwing stick could generate so much laughs? Zach Courier.
When that's the bar for improvement.
Yeah, bar for improvement is you kept the stick in your hands.
Well, hey, I mean, the point is they cleaned up their play, which I mean, in a 1-goal game, all it would have taken is 1 penalty, like we saw with Colorado when they played San Diego.
That got pretty scary near the end, anyways, right?
Well, that's what the point I was going to make is that if I were Calgary, the one thing I would be concerned about is early on you had a 4-goal lead heading in the fourth quarter, and you won by 1, and that's in 2 games now. You've kind of let that team back in for 2 late fourth quarter runs. I think late in the game you just got to clean that up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree that they definitely need to. I mean, there's always going to be room for improvement.
Yeah.
So,
and if I'm their marketing department, Calgary, I would be marketing the crap out of this game to try and get that crowd back inside, because it makes a huge difference to that team. And when the crowd's energy isn't there, neither is theirs, and it takes a while to ramp it up.
Yeah. And there isn't the aura of that. There isn't the aura of that Calgary curse for Colorado anymore either.
Yeah, Colorado is ridiculously resilient. Yeah, they seem to have the 9 lives. They might be on live number 7 by now, but they need if they happen to get by, they need to save a few for this Buffalo team that, by the way, is not the Buffalo team that anybody saw during the year. Not even close. Chase Fraser did leave the game more precautionary than anything else, since he has missed most of the season, so they didn't want to take any chances with him, and he was already hobbling around. But in the game, he was while he was playing was just incredible with what he was doing. He got a goal, but a lot of the stuff that he was doing was setting picks and off ball stuff. Typical Buffalo stuff. Offensively, they were incredible. In both games, they were just, well, you kind of know what you're in for in the first minute or two. And, of course, in game one, it took them all of 30 seconds to get on the board, of course, with Josh Byrne. In that game, only the right side for Toronto was awake. They got 5 goals, 3 from Challen Rogers and 2 from Tom Schreiber. The transition game was non-existent, and defensively they were having all kinds of problems because, Byrne was having his way with the team, scoring 5 goals in that game. Dane Smith didn't score in this game, but he had, I believe, 8 assists in this game. So he set up everything that went on. Transitionally, Justin Robinson, got a goal, beautiful goal set up from Matt Spanger. Chris Kluche was just coming to life in this one, which was just a foray for game 2, in which he had a sock trick. Because it didn't matter where he shot it from and didn't matter where he shot it to. It was going to find its way behind Nick Rose or Troy Holochuk, depending which minute of the game we were in, because we did the turnstile thing. Every time I turned around, one was walking out and one was walking in. And, of course, the Bandit fans let him know it. Not a whole lot really to say other than butt whooping would be a good thing. From pillar to post, top to bottom, they were outplayed in game 1 in every facet of the game. Mitch Desnew said before game 2, it just wasn't us that played. So, just kind of wondering where that team went for game 2. Yes, it did.
Yeah, I was going to say, even especially in game 2.
Especially in game 2.
Yeah.
Game 1, he was great. Game 2, he was a bulldozer.
Yeah,
he
was causing havoc everywhere.
Skin. He had Hosstrauser all messed up right from the word go, but he was absolutely antagonistic, and the goals that he scored were beauties. There's no cheapies with him. Every time he puts it on net, something magical happens. And the one that he dove and scored was just incredible. And it just one thing after another. But these guys just absolutely took Toronto to the woodshed. I put together a little compilation of goals for the Bandit. Now, that last goal really did sum up the majority of what I saw in those 2 games. Byrne to Smith and Smith for the goal, whether it's Byrne for Smith or Smith from Byrne, doesn't really make a difference. It's interchangeable. But he walked by 3 Toronto defensemen who were standing there watching and put it top corner on Rose, who was standing there watching. When you know that they're going to come diving and you don't do much movement, at least try and get to where you think they might be diving to, we're in trouble. And they got in trouble in game 1. In game 2 was a little bit different because they put up a fight. That first quarter was back and forth, and it was an aggressive showing life quarter. And it was 3-3. It became 4-4, and Challen Rogers, he got hit and then retaliated. And like we've talked about before, refs only see the retaliation. And his retaliation was a good, fierce cross-check to the throat or head or whatever. And it deservingly got a 5-minute penalty. Now, normally, 2 goals and you lick your wounds and get off there. But it's Challen Rogers. He's the leader. He's the captain. He's a big part of their offense. He's a big part of their defense. He's a big part of their transition. And he's sitting there for 5 minutes. And in 3.5 minutes of that 5 minutes, Buffalo was able to score 7 times. 7. A 4-4 game became an 11-4 blowout. This game was now finished. He got out of the box, and I think about 30 seconds later, Josh Jubenville with a high stick to Brad McCulley. Bang. He's in for 5 minutes. So you finish off the first half weak with a 5-minute penalty. That's how you start the second half with a penalty. Luckily, they killed off that penalty. That's a tough question, Matt. I actually have my money on Colorado. To tell you the truth, I just think that Dylan Ward is Dylan Ward, and for some reason, I think that their offense is better than what Calgary can throw.
Calgary's been so good at home, though. That's just my thing.
They have. I think Shawn brings up a good point, though. That the fourth quarter. They've allowed Colorado kind of back into the game. I mean, obviously, game one was just the undisciplined, uncharacteristic penalties, but they cleaned that up in game two and still allowed the Mammoth nearly to come back and tie it. And I mean, they had the last possession at the end of the game, even so.
But I'm sorry, guys. I got to put this out there. That Bandits team that I've been watching throughout the entire playoffs that is healthy, I don't think the West has a team to match up to them.
No, I mean, they put everyone on notice.
But my money is on Buffalo to win this thing, hands down. And the way it's going right now, I have them to win it in 2.
I guess my only question would be, if it is Calgary, can Buffalo keep up with that transition game?
I think they can. And I think another thing is that their defense, which is underrated. Man, it's underrated. But the scheme that they were using was having their anchors low. And, I mean, around Matt Winslow. So you almost had 3 goalies standing there. But they're athletic enough to get out to double team the shooter or get in the way of the passing lanes. So passes couldn't go through. Shots that, most of them were blocked. And the ones that did get through, Vince saw easily. Every now and again, they were able to move around. But to try and – their game plan was to move him east to west, west to east, and try and catch him and score. And there was nothing going through. So that went poof, goodbye. So now you're sitting there going, my bag of tricks is empty. The hat, there's nothing here. Now what? So now we're going back to taking shots from, basically downtown Toronto into Hamilton's thing there. And everything was from the outside. And well, if it doesn't work the first 20 times, let's do it another 40 times. And if it doesn't work after those 40 times, let's do it another 60 times. Nobody was going inside. Nobody was going and paying the price. Every now and again, you'd see somebody in there and they get squashed. Schreiber, he didn't make game 2 because he got his bell rung a couple of times in game 1.
Yeah, I was going to say that was always my fear when Toronto played Buffalo, because we talked about how Toronto kind of lives and dies by that outside shot. And I've always feared that you can't really do that against a guy like Matt, especially Matt Vince in goal. He'll stiff that out pretty quickly unless you're dead accurate in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And anyway you're off, and Toronto's shooting was off, to say the least. And even when it was on, they were getting deflected, and all kinds of things were going on. It was funny that I brought this up a couple of weeks ago in the Rochester post-game press conference. I believe it was Dane Smith in the interview, and he said, last year we were cocky. We thought we were the cock of the walk, and we should have won, and we were cocky, and we got beat. This year, Toronto was actually favored, and some of the book lines, they were also favored. And it was like, that was great, because now we have a chip on our shoulder. And they played like they had a chip on their shoulder. This wasn't, celebrating a silliness. This was business. If you notice that the celebrations weren't jumping all over the place, it was on to the next one. Something that pretty much went under the radar was, yes, TD Erlin won a lot of the faceoffs, but Max Adler was fantastic there. Game 2, it was 16-13 in favor of Erland. To be that close to a guy who's 80% face-off wins for the year is pretty amazing. Now, granted, they were calling some of the stuff that was going on the restraining lines. So with some of the shenanigans that were going on there, they'd be calling before they'd even get set for the face-off, and Buffalo would be getting the face-off win. But it comes down to, in a tie game, and you take a 5-minute penalty for cross-checking to the head.
That was to me that was the turning point.
That was the turning point. I told people in my section that you watch, this is a TSN turning point. They kill us off, they go on to win this game. They get shellacked, and this game is over here. And sure enough, there it was. And I didn't expect the roof to cave in right then and there. But 7 goals in 3.5 minutes. I don't care who you are. That's going to deflate not only you, not only your teammates, but the entire building of fans around you who just were looking up at the sky going, what just happened? And how? It's funny because, I had to get a laugh out of this. On Twitter, I went on there, and the one of their sponsors for the league, their goal of the game, with all the goals scored, 31 of them in 2 games for Buffalo. Nope, we have the one Toronto goal, and here it is.
Craig up for Small, and his shot just missed. Gets the rebound and scores. Small with a pair, and he's had a big game too.
Good things happen when you crash the net. Shot goes wide. All the defense's faces are turned the other way. And it's Corey Small who heads towards cage, picks up the loose ball, and cashes in on the rebound. 7 shots, 0 goals last night. He has found his groove here in Hamilton.
Now, how did that goal originate? It was a shot that went wide.
Yeah, it was just a heads-up play by Small.
Well, he picked up his rebound while the defense was going forward. Otherwise, they would have still been there. And again, the shot wouldn't have gotten through. But you can see the defensive thing there because they were moving up after the shot. That was their scheme. And on a power play or when they had two shorthanded goals last night too. I believe it was Kluche and Hanako, both with howitzers. And tell me, on top of everything else, if that's not even more deflating. And they had Rose in there. They pulled him midway through the second, put Holochuk in for 1. He gave up a goal. Next thing you know, Rose is back in. In the fourth quarter, it was a turnstile. It was Holochuk, it was Rose. It was Rose, it was Holochuk, because they kept trying to pull a goalie and try and do something. But, they gave up an empty net goal to Priolo with about 6 or 7 minutes left in the game because they were trying anything. But at that point, it was already 15 or 16-7. Maybe not give them the freebie because nothing else was working. So why would that?
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate.
Man, it's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Rose,
I'll look forward to seeing you when I head into Buffalo for one of those finals games. We'll catch up then. Take care. Yeah.
I was just going to say with Rose. I mean, no, he didn't play his best, but he had no help. As you showed that one video there, like his defense was just standing around. Like he can't do it by himself. As we were just saying, yeah.
Both games, they hung out to dry. The other thing that kind of was starting to wear on me a little bit was Desnu going down the floor. And instead of pulling up and letting some people come with him, he would continually try for that one shot for that goal that may work against, Vancouver. But it's not going to beat Vince. And most of the time was wide. Maybe if you're coming down and be in transition, if it got it, good. But if you don't, pull up. And, get it off to somebody. Mazuka had a pretty good, he had a pretty energetic goal as number 2 in transition, which was the first transition goal that they had in 2 games. But not hard to see who Matt's goal for.
I mean, hey,
Matt
look,
lives in Buffalo. Matt's a great guy. So,
look, I mean, it's obviously it's theirs to lose. I mean, the couple of things I was going to say was I agree with Shawn on the Calgary transition, possibly causing the Bandits some difficulty. What I wouldn't be sold on if Calgary advances to the final is just I think their offense in general. I just don't think there's enough superstars to match up. You get some guys who have some off nights. I mean, Hayden Dixon had 4 assists in game 2, but didn't score a goal. If you're not getting the production out of King and Cook and Pace, you're definitely not going to be competing, near the end of the game. Right. And then that question comes into play with Pace and the fact that he's only played 1 game this season in the States. If they advance, you've got 2 games over the border.
Yeah.
Is he playing? Is he not playing? We don't know the reason that he's not playing. And I mean, I don't know him. I'm not going to speculate or anything like that, but if for some reason he can't play games in the States, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage in games 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Mike, especially against, as we're talking about, that Buffalo defense. Like, in that sense, like, I don't think Calgary has the firepower if they have to settle down on offense and go 5-on-5 against that defense. I think if they go against Buffalo, they have to live and die by that transition game.
I agree.
And now conversely, I think Colorado does have the pieces on offense. I mean, look at Ryan Lee. I mean, he had a similar game to what Dane Smith had in game 2.
Yeah.
Where he didn't score, but he had 6 assists. You have obviously Zed Williams, you have Connor Robinson, you have Eli McLaughlin, all of who can have a big night, plus Lee, and then you get your secondary guys like, Chris Wardle or Brett McIntyre.
Now, if they do get by, the difference between last year and this year is they're healthy. Remember, they had none of these guys going into the finals last time around.
That's true.
Everything rested on Zed Williams.
Didn't have McLaughlin.
And Kevin, bit of a factor here. So you think Buffalo's going to, if it's Buffalo, Colorado, do you think Buffalo's going to have a chip on their shoulder because they lost last year to this exact same team?
Of course they do.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
I don't think Buffalo cares who they play, to tell you the truth, because they're going to go with the system that they're going to go with. Yeah. And, they're going to make the other teams make all the adjustments.
Yeah.
That's just the way the Buffalo team is set up.
But the only thing I can think of too is just that long break that Buffalo's going to have.
Well, after this series, it may not be a bad thing, because I say I watch a lot of guys hobble off.
Yeah, to get that extra week of rest while they have to play. I mean, it would have been a different story if Colorado had won last.
That's maybe where it's lucky it's a 3-game series, because if they are a little bit rusty in game 1, they'll have their feet for sure by 2 and 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and whatever they're lacking, believe me, Banditland will be nutty in game 1 and if necessary in game 3. So do not despair on that. What did you guys think about that crease dive in the Calgary game? Was it worth all the hoopla? Let's have a look at it first, and then we'll talk about it.
And Garrett McIntosh takes quick exception, and that is kind of the lay of the law here. You're jumping on your own. You have to try to get your way away from the goaltender. At least it can look like you're getting away. But if the defender hits you into him, it's not going to be.
Was he not pushed?
Yeah, that's my thoughts. Did he get a bit of a push there? Did he not?
He was pushed, and Ward was moving to where he's trying to get out of the way, and Ward's moving there. So they kind of met no matter what. And if you're in midair, how are you changing where you're going? without being part of Cirque du Soleil. just curious what you guys think about. Like I say, because I'm hearing a lot of nonsensical stuff
Yeah,
about it.
I'm
It
still,
certainly wasn't intentional.
I'm on the same boat as I'm on the same boat as you, Gary, and it's kind of like that clean hit in hockey, that big clean hit in hockey. Everyone has to still drop the gloves and fight, even though it was a clean hit. You still have to stick up for your teammates.
This
So
machismo nonsense needs to stop.
yeah,
Where that's when the league needs. Well, that's when the refs need to necrose them and put penalties on the people who are retaliating on that one. That's when a retaliation penalty should be called. Because it was, by no means is that goalie interference in my eyes, because he's avoiding the crease and the goalie's going with him. That's like hitting a goalie in the corner. We've gone away from this. If he's in the crease, fine, but outside the crease, he's a man. He's a defender.
And how can you avoid it when the defender's pushing you into him?
Yeah, railroading you into him.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a head scratcher, but it's a conundrum that the league needs to look at. Because we get it more and more. And if they're trying to clean up all the other nonsense out of the game, this is something that they need to put their foot on. When I was talking with Wayne Cawley on Thursday's show, and Wayne is a Hall of Fame goalie and coach and GM and coach of the Brooklyn Redmen from way back when. And he's also one of the coaches of Team Netherlands now, who's working towards the 2024 Worlds. Excuse me. He would like to see the diving across the crease eliminated altogether, because somebody's going to get hurt, seriously hurt. Goalies have no protection behind them. Guys jumping from behind the net, someone's going to break a neck, as he puts it. Do we just say the hell with that and go back to where we're going, or do we just need to have those Sports Center goals at whatever risk?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like you sacrifice some excitement out of the game by taking out the crease dives, which might turn off fans. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Traditionalists are turned off by everything.
Yeah.
You take fighting out of the game, and half of them are against it, half of them are for it. And
I guess I'm thinking more of the casual fan. The casual fan, like, oh, hey, cool. They're diving behind the net and they're diving in front of the net. That's kind of cool. Whereas if they're just seeing outside shots and a few like up close shots, it might take that casual fan away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or at least the ones from behind the net. Anyways.
Yeah.
Just something where they're in an element of danger. Me personally, I like the excitement in the game, but I understand the point. Because if it's your star player and he's gone, then what?
True. But I guess, how do you alter certain rules to counter the bigger, stronger, faster argument? Some of them you just can't.
Right.
It is what it is.
I guess I see your point. I just thought I'd put that out there because, again, we're in this predicament when really I don't see a way out of that one. You're driving to the net. Obviously, you're not trying to run through the net. But there are times when you see it happening, and guys are doing it just to get the goalie jumpy. Yeah, in the old days, I remember talking with Dave Durante about this. What they used to do in the first bit was just fire no matter what. Instead of firing it in the corner when the shot clock corner, fire at the goalie's feet. If he's unsteady to start the game, he's got to move his feet to try and make the save on that. And if he's unsteady, a good number of those actually wind up in the net. So instead of wasting a thing throwing into the corner, why not throw it to goalie? It's going to come back up the floor anyway, right?
Yeah.
It'll give you enough time to get changed anyways. But back then, they played both sides of the ball, so I didn't have to worry about that. It would give them enough time to run up the floor.
Right.
It's interesting when I'm talking to some of the old time legends, and they're thinking on it, and with what they had to play with at the time, the thinking is a lot different than say somebody who's coming into the game now. So just a couple of things to think about. Now, the post-mortem for the Toronto Rock. This was the all-in year, wasn't it? All the pieces were supposedly there, and this was going to be the one they're favored to win. And well, there you go. It didn't happen. What needs to change? Something needs to change somewhere. Is it coaching? Is it players? Should Dan Dawson be coming back next year? Should Chris Corbeil be coming back next year? Or should they be going with more of youth? Should they be looking towards more free agency? Should they switch in net where Rose is the backup and Holochuk gets his opportunity?
Oh, Gary may want to plug his ears on this one, but it's kind of the same conundrum in San Diego, right? This was supposed to be their year, and they stumbled in the playoffs. Where do you go from here? I mean, they could see a completely different team in San Diego. Could that be the possibility in Toronto, where you're seeing, like you said, some of those older guys getting shipped out, knowing that you need to get younger?
Because last year, they lost 2 games to Buffalo. Both games were by a goal. That was, I thought, very difficult because you thought they really could have pulled either of those games out. In fact, both of them they had the opportunity to win.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to mention.
They weren't even close.
Well, that's the other thing you mentioned, Corbeil's. Yeah, sorry, Gary. You mentioned Corbeil. I mean, listen, I love Corbs from his Rush days, but he was supposed to be that big free agent signing, and in the playoffs, I really didn't hear his name much.
No, in fact, when you did hear it, it wasn't usually good. It was he missed this or he didn't do that. To his, not defending him or anything, but he only had 2 games in the regular season from having a major injury where he never got going this year. He's got 2 more years left on this contract. I guess of all the guys, that this would be the one guy that you're going to keep around.
Yeah.
To see what he can do with a full season.
Full season.
Another question, and it won't be popular in Toronto, Tom Schreiber. Do they rely too much on Schreiber? And is it too much of the outside shooting that is so successful in the PLL that isn't successful against teams like Buffalo, as proven in the NLL?
Do you need to maybe get a little bigger and a little bit stronger so you can get down low? I don't think you need to get rid of Schreiber, but I think you need to find pieces to
protect him.
What I'm looking to help out with that, and so that you're not solely relying on his outside shooting.
Well, I thought that's what Small and Keogh were supposed to be. One on the left and one on the right. Huh?
So maybe it's time to move on from one of them.
Yeah, but is Small really an inside player, down low?
Isn't his big thing to pick the quick stick on the side of the net? That's inside. But as the season went along, everybody got further and further out. And it started looking like the Rock offense of old, which was shoot it from wherever, and we're just going to pepper 65 shots, and a few of them are going to fall.
And maybe the smallest thing is the quick stick. Maybe you need a guy who's a grinder a little bit, who will rush the net, knock guys over.
Well, that was Keogh until he got hurt, and then he wasn't the same Keogh after that. His nickname was the Ultimate Warrior, and there wasn't a lot of ultimate anything in the last couple of games. Not from lack of trying, but just not being able to, and not being able to penetrate that zone defense that was so tight, and on a power play even tighter, that it was almost impenetrable at times.
And then you mentioned coaching, Gary. Why didn't the coaching staff make an adjustment when they saw that Buffalo was just crowding the inside like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's on the coaching staff.
That's baffling. It's baffling that in the first game at halftime, really, I didn't see any adjustments in the second half. To start the game, they started with energy, but really no adjustments. And come the second half at 11-4, and sitting through the midway part of another penalty, there wasn't a whole lot of adjustments there. And by that time, the roof had already caved in. And they were doing anything they could just to save face to get to the end. And really, Buffalo did take their foot off the gas, even though they scored 3 goals in about 2 minutes. Midway through the fourth, that's where Kluche got his 5th and 6th goals, which sandwiched Priolo's empty net goal, which still baffles me why you're pulling the goalie when you're down by about 8 and there's 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I know we talk about the players and what changes can be made with the players, but that's not a player issue. I mean, the players are playing the system they're being given. If the coaching staff isn't making those adjustments, then do you look at the coaching staff?
Shorter shifts. How do you do that, though? When you're on offense and you're trying to score and you have your best guys out there, how are you going? You're not going to pull him off. Yeah. So, yeah, but the coaching thing is a little baffling to me. And I know we've watched them. They're good coaches. They got coached by JT and his staff. And, they had a game plan that they stuck to. The biggest thing that they had was they didn't get sucked into losing their composure. Because if you look, a team like Buffalo notoriously for years has taken stupid penalties that have cost them series and cost them seasons because of losing their composure. This Buffalo team is composed and down to business. And that's what makes them frightening, because there's nobody there that is above the team. You got some of the greatest players on the face of the planet playing there, and nobody is above the team.
And Buffalo showed what happens when you make those stupid mistakes against them. They make you pay, and they make you pay big time.
Well, yeah, it's just stupid mistakes like chucking a stick, but that's in another game. Toronto didn't do that. They just used the stick as a weapon. Toronto held on to the stick. They used it as a weapon. Got them 5 minutes each time, too. So,
well, I mean, Water has a good point, because I think Calgary is one of the least penalized teams in the league, if not the least penalized team in the league.
Challen Rogers had 10 minutes in penalties all year, and he took a 5-minute penalty for something stupid in the second quarter that basically cost them the game. No, it was not him, because they went back to full strength after 2, but the momentum swung there, and they couldn't stop it. They could not turn that tap off.
Yeah. And to your point, Mike, they may be the lowest penalized team, but we have seen Calgary lose their composure.
Yeah.
And when it does, it's going to go downhill.
So I mean, that in that regard, I might almost give that edge to Colorado too, as far as, if they were to advance and play Buffalo.
Honestly, I think the better series is going to be Colorado versus Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think they match up more evenly. I think we're going to get a better series. I don't think you're going to see a parade to the penalty box. Now, granted, I did get to see my favorite referee of all time on both games. Mr. Gardonio was doing a fine job there, hearing himself speak. It was lovely. Throw Mr. Garrison in there too, and we're all set. Yeah, Hiltzy is too small, man. I like Hiltzy. He learned from Bill Fox. Bill Fox is, if anybody's seen Bill in person, Bill's a great guy. He's a very tall man. So when he called a penalty, he just put his hand up. He always told the shorter referees is that you need to embellish. So if you're not just going to throw your hand up, you're going to throw your hand up. So every time he calls a penalty, I get a chuckle, because there he is. There's the hand up in the air, and you almost think that the arm's going to fly out of the shoulder. Good old Foxy, man. It's awesome. And no great story from any legend doesn't have a story that has Foxy in it for some reason or another. And you always knew that the game was going to be down the line. He was fantastic. So, who do we think is going to be in the final, Calgary or Colorado? I already said it. I think Colorado is going in there myself. But, I just think that they're a better money team. But my money, like I said, I say it here, I say it now, is on Buffalo to win for the first time and break that curse since 2006. There it is.
Yeah, I think that game against Toronto, or those games,
No, you
that
mean
series against
08.
Toronto was just a
08, sorry,
statement.
08. Yeah, 06 was Colorado.
Don't remind the Bandits fans about 06.
Yeah, 06 was Colorado.
Because it only got worse in 22 when it happened again.
Yeah.
So to the same
Oh,
team.
wait. Sorry,
No,
man.
I was just gonna
Numbers are not working with me this weekend. I saw a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
No,
Not a lot of them were in Toronto's favor. So
no.
None of them were in Toronto's favor, unless you're talking about penalty minutes. Eduardo's going with Calgary. Sorry about that,
Calgary.
Eduardo.
Yeah, I don't know.
This game could go anyway.
I'm hesitant to. I mean, I do agree. Colorado and Buffalo would be the better series for a number of reasons. But
Calgary would make it easier for me to travel to.
I think just the fact that the game's in Calgary, I have to give a slight edge to Calgary right now. So,
yeah, I'm the same way. I just feel like,
but no, that's definitely nothing against Ward or Colorado's defense. I certainly think they're capable of going in and stealing that game on Saturday and punching their ticket back to the finals for a chance to be back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, Mike. I have a hard time betting against Calgary at home. But if you look at the goal differential after these two games, it's dead even.
Yeah,
this really could go any way. It really could.
So,
absolutely, and I just look at it as both of them are proven goaltenders. Both of them have championships. Delbianco and Ward. Both of them have beat the Bandits in the last couple of years. So Buffalo's going to have a chip on their shoulder regardless who's going.
Yeah,
whether it was 19 or it was 22. The team that Buffalo has right now, healthy, and that's the key word there, healthy, is one of the best teams that I have seen put together that is well-rounded. Because there really isn't a weak link. Because if you want, we don't talk too much about Buffalo's transition, but Ian McKay did it again this weekend, doing a coast-to-coast thing. Justin Robinson did it. He went coast-to-coast for a goal. That's not even talking about Priolo, who can still do it. That's a pretty solid transition team. And then, of course, you have Matt Vince, who's the wild card, who time and time again is always seems to be on the winning side of that equation when it comes down to really big games. And the Mann Cup shows you that in the summertime. 3 NL championships and 8 times goalie of the year shows you that. Let alone all the other records that he has and are soon to have. Because he's still playing like he can play as long as he wants to play, really. Because age isn't catching him yet. So for a reflex goalie to still be at 41 years old, to be as good as anybody in their 20s is astounding. Yeah. And I got a soft spot for him because he found the Latrell Harris. He was his gym teacher, actually, which is funny. But I watched that one.
I was thinking the same thing, actually. Del Bianco versus Vince would be whoa. That could be a good one.
We saw what the Ward Vince one was last year, and that was almost as incredible. But I don't think Vince was playing at 100%, which is why we didn't see him through a good chunk of the summer either, until what really meant something in August and September. His hand and a few other things. So from what I can see and the way he's talking, he's healthy too, and feeling it, and seeing it, more importantly.
Yeah.
And if you notice, he's your ring general. He's calling all the switches, and everybody's on the same page as he is. and moving exactly where he wants them to go, which is opening up the lane so he can see the shooters. And remember the old Dallas Elliott adage, if I can see it, I can save it.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're not getting in the way, so you're not getting these deflections that kill you. So, when they are blocking things, they are blocking them. And, this too low man thing. I watched a few different defensive things over the years. Six Nations used to have it, where they would pull their guys on offense further back, which would pull the defense further out and then send their cutters behind, which was an interesting predicament to watch. Ironically, that was Tahoe Nanticoke back in junior and doing it with that team. So, but he's a much bigger guy now, and he's a much stronger guy. And like I put in my report, he was a bulldozer. And, on top of all the other pieces of finesse, like Fraser being able to hit things from anywhere, Smith being able to pass through anything, Byrne being able to dive through and change direction of his shot midair. So I say Cirque du Soleil kind of things. And then you have Nanticoke in front, who is bulldozing everything in sight, and then can easily dive across the net and still score with soft hands. Yeah. Where's the white flag? We just,
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was trying to make here. Is Nanticoke even take away the 3 goals more assists in that second game? He can just clear out the front of the net to give his guys open shots.
Oh yeah, when he sets a
open
pick,
lanes. Yeah,
he sets a pick. Like there's a reason why Schreiber wasn't in the lineup yesterday, because he had a rough ride with the defense and with the transition throughout the game in game 1, and he still scored twice. So, I kind of wish that the focused Rogers from game 1 made it to game 2, and I'm wondering what kind of game we would have had.
Well, that's just the interesting thing, is that totally out of Shawn Rogers' character to do something
which
like
just
that.
showed you how frustrated that team got. And they were tied at that point, and they were still getting frustrated because I guess they could feel the tide turning. Because Buffalo was just relentless. They it reminded me a little bit of the Team Canada against the Soviets in hockey, in the 70s. And, the Red Army team just wave after wave after wave, no emotion. They just kept going and going and going. And it was Canada that get frustrated. And eventually they figured out how to play it. But, you just watched these guys who normally wouldn't lose their composure. And, Eduardo, that's exactly right. The 72 series.
Yep.
But the first half of that series in Canada was just bizarre, and they took them way too late. And you can't read your own press clippings and expect that that's going to be the truth. And like I say, the last game that they played together of the regular season, where Buffalo won by 1, they were just getting in sync. There's the first game where they had all their guys back. They got better against Albany in their last game of the season, and then they were full tilt boogie against Rochester, 20-8 in the playoffs. And then, of course, that team is what ruled game 1 and game 2 against Toronto, and you can see.
Sorry, Gary, and maybe that's the thing with Toronto. Maybe it's not a change on the floor, but just a change in attitude. Like, okay, we can't take anything for granted. Nothing's going to just be handed to us.
Right. Yeah. Like I say, you can't believe the press clippings. And sometimes I think you stare and wonder how good you really are. And then you get the rude awakening. Unfortunately, the rude awakening happened 2 times in a row, and they weren't able to recover from it. Of course, with other factors in there. Like I say, I would have loved to see what this game would have turned out when it was 4-4 without that penalty. And to see if that dogfight would have continued, or whether it just would have been, like a prize fighter and just kind of wearing away jab, 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 and eventually you can start scoring bigger punches.
Oh, I could easily seen that 1 goal either way if that penalty hadn't have happened.
Yeah. Well, just take away that 5 minutes. That's 7 goals that 3.5 minutes. Sorry, 7 goals.
Yeah, take away that
That's
7
how
goals. It's
explosive
what?
Buffalo is, though, and that's what the teams in the West have to take into account, no matter who it is. Doesn't matter Calgary or Colorado. That explosive power is there, and it's healthy, and it's ready. Now, we didn't even talk about the guys like Brad McCulley, who he got a goal the other day, but he, beautiful setups. That Josh Byrne first goal, that was McCulley catching him on the fly and basically catching the Toronto defense standing still. And Byrne, again, changing direction of his shot midway in the air and finding a corner. So, that's what's in store. Right now, I don't think I think they're watching they're watching their own games right now to figure out how to get to that game. That game will be the week of, and then they'll start putting that together. But pretty much they have the files already ready. It's not like football where there's 32 teams. There's 14 other teams, and you see them once or twice anyways over the year. So I'm sure that they already are pretty astute. But that's where it is. So I know I've gone through this a few times. Predictions for next week, Shawn?
Yeah, I think I have to go Calgary.
All right. True Canadian.
Boy.
Mike.
And it's tough to say that, because I think it could go either way. But
yeah, I think Colorado's going to find a way.
Yeah, I've been saying it since the beginning of the show. Anyways, I think Colorado finds a way to do it. I just think that they're going to get off to a quick start, and I think that's going to be the difference. I don't think Calgary is as good coming and trying to battle from behind. They have enough trouble keeping the lead and holding on. So I just think that you're going to see a very quick start from the Colorado Mammoth front 4 or 5 guys, and trying to push a couple of goals in there at any extent. But they're going to be the ones that are going to play discipline. And that's going to be the bottom line key, is whoever plays the most discipline and doesn't give away opportunities is coming away with this victory to face Buffalo. And I just think that Calgary's just that little bit more composed. That's my 2 cents. That, and the $2 will get you a cup of coffee. But so coming up in the next couple of weeks, all the summer stuff starts. I know that local minor field lacrosse is going on now, but we have MSL starting up in, I believe it's 2 weeks. WLA starting a week and a half, I think it is. And the PLL starts the first week of June. So we will be covering all of that. And we will also be covering Senior B, since the President's Cup is in my backyard here this year. So just to keep me putting a few more miles on the old car. Who needs sleep? Highly overrated. But remember to stick with us for everything, because we will have news, reviews, updates, recaps, and interviews throughout summer ball, and all the news that is fit to be tied with the NLL playoffs. And like I say, it's easier for me to get a flight to Calgary, but if I have to go to Colorado, that's going to be a tough thing to I will try and take that bullet for the team, guys. But remember to keep following us on Lacrosse All The Time Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And check back a few times during the day, because the news is always happening. And like always, we have our finger on the pulse. Also get on to eopsports.com for all sports. But if you want to catch some of our archived reports, we're on there as well. Again, check it out a few times a day, and stay completely up to date with us. That's about it, guys. Shawn, any last words?
No, I was just actually going to mention, I threw up some Junior B Saskatchewan lacrosse photos up on our Facebook page. If you can make it to NLL, PLL, MSL or WLA, hey, support your local junior lacrosse. I mean, it was a minor lacrosse. It was like $5 to get in the game, cheap beers. It was a ton of fun. So, hey, again, just support the minor lacrosse in your local area.
Absolutely, and you're going to see some great skill and up-and-coming players. And by Junior B, you're talking about 2 steps away from making it to NLL. So you want to get out there and support all the teams. Mike, any final words?
I was just looking forward to Game 3 next week. I'm sure
Eduardo's feeling better.
I'm sure Buffalo will be watching with brimming with anticipation as well. So,
well, Eduardo, I'd say tickets will go on sale as soon as they know who's playing.
Yep,
that would be probably one of the prerequisites.
Whoever it is, Buffalo's going to have the home field advantage.
Yeah, Buffalo should be selling tickets for 2 Saturdays from now, and get her going. And that would be about it for the week, guys. For Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, for Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and we, as always, appreciate it. And it being our anniversary, we appreciate it even more that you've been with us for an entire year of shows, and we're going to be here for a long time to come. So I hope you all come back week after week after week. Now we're back comfortably back into our 9 o'clock Sunday night slot again. Unless I have to go somewhere again. Sorry, guys. These guys are great because they're versatile, and I appreciate that immensely. But anyways, we will catch you again next Sunday, same time, 9 p.m. Until then, keep your stick in your hands, guys.